Welcome back to my podcast. I'm Ian McCormack. I continue my story. Chapter 10. Immediately I was back in my body. My head was tilted to the right and I had one eye open. I was looking at a young Indian doctor who had my right foot elevated in his hand and was prodding a sharp instrument into the base of my foot. He was looking for any signs of life. Little did he realize that I was now alive and looking at him. I wondered what on earth he was doing, but then the penny dropped. He thinks I'm dead. At the same time, the doctor stopped what he was doing and turned his head in the direction of my face. As our eyes made contact, terror swept over his face, as though he had just seen a ghost. Blood drained from his face, and he went as white as a sheet. His feet nearly left the ground. I was shaken by this, and I asked God to give me the strength to tilt my head to the left and look out the other side. As I slowly turned my head to the left, I saw nurses and orderlies in the doorway, staring at me in amazement and terror. No one said a word. I apparently had been dead for some 15 to 20 minutes and was being prepared for the morgue. I felt weak and I closed my eyes, but I quickly opened them again to check that I was still in my body. I wasn't sure whether or not I would disappear again. I was still paralyzed, and I asked God to help me. As I prayed, I felt a tingling sensation in my legs, accompanied by a comforting warmth. I continued to pray, and the doctor just stood there shaking his head. The warmth spread up into my body and arms. God was healing me. I was so tired. I closed my eyes again and fell soundly asleep. I didn't wake up again until the next afternoon. When I woke, I saw my friend Simon standing outside my room, looking in through the window. He looked pale and was shaking his head. He couldn't believe I was alive. He had followed my trail to the hospital and had brought a New Zealand friend of mine with him. "So, you had a pretty rough night?" this friend asked. "Yeah, mate," I replied. "I don't really know what happened." I didn't want to say, "Actually, I died." I was still coming to terms with all that had happened and didn't want them to say, "Off to the rubber room for you. You've taken too much dope and it's coming out your ear holes." "This place smells like a latrine," they said. "We're getting you out of here. We'll look after you." I resisted them. I wanted to stay in the hospital, but they climbed in the window, picked me up and walked me out. The doctor came and tried to physically restrain them, but they pushed him out of their way. A taxi was waiting. Simon wouldn't come in the taxi with me, as he was still afraid that I was a ghost. They took me home to my bungalow on the beach and put me to bed. Then they went straight out to the living room and had a party. I was exhausted and hungry. I went to sleep again and woke up in the middle of the night, shivering and perspiring. My heart was filled with terror. I was lying facing the wall. I rolled over to see what was scaring me. Through my mosquito netting and through the steel bars on the windows, I could see 7 or 8 pairs of eyes looking at me. There was a light red glow to them. Instead of a round pupil, they had slits like a cat. They seemed half human, half animal. I thought, what on earth are they? They looked into my eyes and I looked into theirs and I heard a whisper, "You're ours and we're coming back." "No, you're not," I cried. I grabbed my flashlight and shone it at them. There was nothing there, but I knew I'd seen them. I wondered if I was going crazy. I began feeling like I might mentally snap. I had to settle myself down and convince myself I wasn't going insane. I'd been through so much in the last 24 hours. So I said, "God, what's going on?" Then he took me moment by moment through everything I'd been through. It was as if he seared it onto my mind. At the end of this, I asked him, "What are these things that seem to want to attack me?" He replied, "Ian, remember the Lord's Prayer." I tried to remember it with my mind again, but I couldn't. Then up from my heart came all the words, "Through to deliver me from the evil one." I prayed this earnestly from my heart. Then God said, "Turn the lights out, Ian." I gathered up my courage and turned off the main light. I sat on the edge of my bed with my flashlight on. I felt like a Jedi warrior from Star Wars. I began thinking, if I don't turn my flashlight out, I'm going to have to spend the rest of my life sleeping with the light on. I turned the flashlight off. Nothing happened. The prayer had been effective. I lay down and went to sleep. Thanks for listening today. Please stay with me as I take you through that journey, one that shaped my life. See you tomorrow for Chapter 11's.